So we're going to be talking about legs now, leg entanglements. Every leg position has three requirements to be considered a control position: the isolation of the hip, the maintaining of the knee line, and being able to avoid or prevent my opponent from turning his ankle. Every single leg position, control leg position, has these three characteristics. So let's go into Ashikurami. Ashikurami, we have the leg of my opponent over my hip. I'm gonna have my outside leg be placed on top of his hip with my foot on his abdomen so he cannot come into me. My inside leg is gonna come over, not facing up, over, and I'm gonna have a close wedge with my heel and my knee. And now if you come over here, you can see that my inside leg, my foot hooks into the far leg. Because if I hook the near leg, my heel is exposed and he can grab and heel hook me. So I prevent this by latching onto the far leg. This gives me the first part of the leg entanglement, the control of the hip. The second part is the knee line. The knee must be inside the space of my hips. Anytime his knee is outside, the leg is pretty much lost. And think about the armbar. When we armbar someone, we are controlling the shoulder with our legs. We have the elbow line, so we are able to go into the breaking position. And then we control the wrist, so my opponent cannot turn. That's the same thing I'm gonna do down here. So right now you see me over my elbow because I'm talking to you, I'm explaining the technique. But I never wanna be over my elbow. I'm gonna place a wedge with my elbow in and putting my shoulder on the ground. Now if my opponent wants to turn, and he wants to turn, it's pretty difficult for him. I'm not even grabbing a foot lock or a heel grip. There is a clear difference between the control mechanism and the submission mechanism. Right now, I'm focusing purely on the control mechanism of Ashikurami. Whenever I go into my shoulder, putting a wedge inside, now, if he tries to go away, he can't. He tries to turn, he can't. He's pretty well controlled. Now from here I can get exposure into different set of submissions. But first, I have to achieve proper control. And you see, we do it with the three basics: the isolation of the hip, the knee line, and preventing him to turn. And I want to recreate that throughout the entire system of leg entanglements. We know there are 5 main leg positions that actually act as transitionable positions between each other. Ashikurami, from here, I can come into outside ashi. I'm not going to go into every detail of outside ashi, just remember to close the distance between your opponent and you by the extension of the hip. I keep turning, and now I'm going to go into Russian saddle, or the back step position. From here, I keep turning. Now I bring my inside knee into the ground and I close. I don't do a full triangle, a full senkaku. Whenever I do a full senkaku, there's a space between my legs that cannot be eradicated. But if I do a half triangle, I'm able to put knee to knee, heels to the butt, and you see that virtual space disappears. And this is good for a strong side honey hole. Now I'm gonna turn in to weak side honey hole, and I'm gonna be able to bring my opponent's leg onto the other side, going into inside ashi, or ripping the knee position. I let go of the outside leg, and then I come back into Ashikurami. You see how in every position I was able to maintain those 3 assets? And now you have a drill that takes you to every major leg position, and you stop seeing each position as an individual entity, but as a whole that has transitions into them and out of them and then your game becomes much more complete. Now we're going to try this drill, and we're going to keep in mind those control situations, and I hope this helps you. That's an example of leg control class that I can show, and it can expand 2 or 3 hours giving the basics to every student in that classroom. And they're gonna walk out of there having solid principles for their leg game.